proudly present the Valvoline Gary Patterson Racers Cup for Sprint Cars. That's right, and of course this great meeting commemorates the memory of one of Australia's favourite American sons. Denis Farr, welcome back to the microphone. I guess it's fair to say that he was one of our favourite American boys.
Yes, that's dead right, Alan. He certainly was one of the all-time great American sprint car drivers, in fact, to race in Australia, and it's Gary Patterson that we remember tonight here at PCR.
So get set for the action. Going along with that, of course, and featuring in the Valvoline Gary Patterson Racers Cup are all the Parramatta Sprint Car stars. Of course, Garry Rush is with us, Steve Brazier on deck tonight, Bob Blackall, the Streak's with us, Bob Tunks, they're all there, plus Denis, a big lineup of Victorians with us tonight.
Yes, it's great to see three Victorian sprint car stars here tonight. Ian Lewis, David Anderson and Kevin McCullum from Geelong. Of course, Ian Lewis, well known to Australian race fans, place getter in the national title at Warrnambool in January of this year, and driving the Peter Hoare OTR case. So we'll certainly watch the progress tonight of Ian Lewis and other Victorian drivers, David Anderson and Kevin McCullum.
And that's the way it's going to fly tonight here at Parramatta City Raceway. Of course, along with the sprint cars, we've got the modifiers, we've got the fender benders, we've got our first demolition derby of the season also tonight at Parramatta City Raceway, and all points going on the board in the sprint car division for the annual Goodyear Premiership Series for the sprint car division. So get set for the action. On behalf of the co-promoters, Sid Hopping and Bert Wilder, welcome along to the Parramatta City Raceway. Have a great night. My name's Alan Edworthy.
And my name's Dennis Newland.
This is Lance Wilson here, and over there is the PCR action track. Also slotted in the third in car number 59 is Jim Powick. Jim Powick in car number 59. Okay, Bob Hill takes the Goodyear car back to the pits and will be a non-starter in the opening heat. Out comes the green flag, racing in the opening 10-lap journey. John Walsh kicks away from the front row in the 75 car and leads the field out of turn 2 on the first occasion. Barry Lewis quickly into stride, puts the double one car in second running. Garry Rush is third as they race off turn 4 onto the main straightaway. This is PCR. This is the action track where the racing is for real. Rush in second now, taking over from Barry Lewis. Lewis tucking right in behind and throwing out the challenge again to Rush. Further back in the pack, Ian Lewis out of Victoria takes over fourth running. But meanwhile it's all John Walsh up front in the 75 car. Backs the car up through turns 1 and 2. Rush in hot pursuit in second running. Oh, and around goes Barry Lewis in the double one car, causes a lot of havoc further back. Lewis manages to straighten up, but the amber caution lights are out. It was Brian Britton in the number 6 car taking evasive action, and unfortunately the fire going out in Britton's number 6 car, hence the amber caution light, so the field will be brought back around as it was Brian Britton who brought the lights on with the stall. This allows Lewis to start out of position 3. Okay, green flag fires. Walsh kicks away again. Now Rush has the opportunity to move in and challenge as they race out of 2 down the back section. It's Steve Brazier. Steve Brazier in the 58 car. Lewis up to his tricks again with a donut, but races on virtually last of all as they come onto the main straightaway, however. John Walsh still calling the shots in advance of Rush. And Slim and Steve Brazier in third in car number 58. Back to the flying Victorian Lewis, who can't get up there and match the horsepower of the long gone John Walsh. Walsh, race leader, no change further back to Garry Rush and Steve Brazier. Listen to the horsepower going to ground at PCR. This is the action track. Onto the main straightaway now runs John Walsh. As the laps dwindle away and Walsh throws the car through turn 1. Rush with the low line. In full chase of John Walsh, but there's no way that anyone's going to catch John Walsh at this rate. Moving into the closing stages now. Walsh and Rush through on the inside of the down car. And Steve Brazier is third. Ian Lewis further back, no chains into Blacklaw, running fairly well reeled at the moment with Barry Lewis. Walsh onto the main straightaway. A great opportunity. Look at Walsh working away at the wall. Oh, a miscue on turn 2, but the young racer gathers it in again. Down the back chute. Hightailing through turns 3 Patterson Racers Cup moves up onto a bunch of tail enders, and it's John Walsh. Wells first with a lightning drive in the 75 car. Garry Rush second across the wire. Out comes the black and white to Steve Brazier in car 58. Ian Lewis best of the race in fourth position in car number 18. Then comes Blacklaw and Barry Lewis from Sydney in the double one car. But what a drive from young John Walsh in car number 75.
Peter Addard in the number 53 car there on the inside of the third row. Moving now into turn number 3. Should get a start this time round. Pace starts to quicken coming through turn 4. Arthur Cowan waves the green flag, and Denis Farr goes to an immediate lead on turn number 1 in the number 3 gambler. Bruce White tucking in on the inside as they run down the back straightaway on the first occasion, but it's Denis Farr lining up through 3. Bruce White gets a little out of shape. Denis Farr still leading, completing 1 lap with 7 remaining. Bruce White in second spot, and Alan Harris back there in third, looking for a way through, and now on the inside of Bruce White and takes over second running. Alan Harris now moving through into second, Bruce White third, and Peter Addard is fourth. That's the top 4 order as Denis Farr moves down the main straightaway once again. Yellow lights on, however. Car number 45 in bother there. Over on the entrance to the back straightaway, bringing on the yellow lights. But Alan, certainly a good performance. The first opening laps there by Denis Farr in the Bradshaw car.
Very soon after the Christmas break. So we'll have the 2 Kinders. That takes our American count to 4. And of course we'll have 2 American speed car stars for you. Details later. Thanks, Dennis.
Okay, Arthur Cowan waving the green flag, and Denis Farr once again goes straight to the race lead, heading off down the back straightaway. Challenge now for second spot as Alan Harris in the ASAP Couriers race car moves into turn number 3, holding down second position, and tailing out his third is Bruce White. One going wide there is Peter Addard in the number 53 car, back followed by Bob Asom, and also going through on the inside of Asom is Trevor Shields, and one making a run through there is Paul Knott in the number 44 car. Meanwhile, Denis Farr well clear now, lining up into turn number 1. Gets a little out of shape as he lines up down the back straightaway, plants the foot once more, drives down hard into 3, and Denis Farr now opening up a commanding lead coming off turn number 4 to complete yet another lap of heat number 2, followed in second placing by Alan Harris, and tailing out in third is Bruce White. Alan Harris going high, and now Bruce White looking for a way through on the inside. Alan Harris meanwhile retains second position. Still Denis Farr leading, but the battle going on for the minor placings between Alan Harris and Bruce White. Bruce White still chasing Harris, but Harris now holding down a comfortable second position, followed by Peter Addard. Next through is Paul Knott, followed by Trevor Shields. Still Denis Farr doing it ever so easily out in front. Going down the back straightaway, well clear now, and the battle's still raging for the minor placings. Now Bruce White taking over second position once more. Arthur Cowan denoting the white flag, showing 1 lap remaining as still Denis Farr. Bruce White still in second spot, and Alan Harris in third. That could well be the finishing order now as Denis Farr comes off turn number 4 to take a great win in heat number 2. Looks like Bruce White will take second. And coming home third was Alan Harris. So a good win going out to Denis Farr in the Bradshaw Gambler car. Officially placed second was Bruce White, and coming in third was Alan Harris in the number 29 car. So a great performance there, Alan, from Denis Farr. A good win in heat number 2.
Tatnell backs the Winfield car through turn 2, rounds up Bob Tunks, around goes the Victorian David Anderson. However, David tried to jump out of harm's way with the car taking evasive action on the outside, took that line unfortunately, and David quickly brought the car to a halt. Through their helmets at one another, psyching each other up. Who's going to get the jump as they come off turn 4? There's something like 44 years of racing between the two. Green flag flies on the outside. Tatnell winds up the Winfield number 5 car, but Tunks is not falling into the trap 2 times. Takes the 54 car into the lead down the back section. Gathering up quickly on the outside now is Tatnell as they race off turn 4. Quickly in the stride now, there's Ross Bolt, the Newcastle Flyer. Heat 3 of the sprint cars at PCR and racing for Stallion Stables. Onto the main straightaway again. No change in the 1, 2 and 3 readout. Tatnell tucks it in tight. Tunks loses ground on turn 2. Bolt kicks it on the high line. Oh, washes right out as Bolt. But still in third racing, but this brings the field right up onto All Sail as they lift walls off turn 4. Further back in the pack, Ken Fowler's on also, and Anderson stuck in the down cars as they race onto the back section now. Garry Rush only trying out the OTR from the rear against Tatnell. Tatnell, oh, Tunks right up on 2 wheels as he locks up tight on 1. Tatnell calling on all the horsepower of the Winfield car as they race down through turns 3 and 4. Oh, Tatnell, both wheels off the deck. The power play is on. Through on the inside is Tatnell. Tunks winds up the 54 car, wheel they race down the back 6 in the 3. Tunks on the outside, Tatnell on the inside. This is PCR, this is the real action track. White flag out now. Out of 2 down the back section in Tatnell. George Tatnell goes to the lead. Bob Tunks tucks in behind. Lifts wheels again off turn 4. But the black and white comes out as the veteran, George Tatnell first. Tell you, George Tatnell, first to the wire, Bob Tunks second, and Ross Bolt, the survivor, in the third, and there's David Anderson right up there as they cross the wire. What a drive and what a race in the Stallion Stable sponsored Heat 3 of the Sprint Car Division, taking the win in devastating style. In the Winfield number 5 car was one gorgeous George Tatnell. Since Bob has been in open competition as a green flag flies, heading up through turns 1 and 2. Steve Brazier puts paid to Bob Asen as they race down the back section now. Brazier screaming down through turns 3 and 4, racing right away from the field. Look at the 2-time champion of Australia, Steve Brazier on the high line, on the cushion. Garry Rush jumps out of the pack in second running. Ian Lewis relegated back to 4th placing now. But that's all over as Lewis comes back again to regain 3rd as Alan Harris now goes back to 4th. Denis Farr pushes through on the inside of Harris. So the race order at this stage is the long gone Steve Brazier as the race leader in car number 58. Rush with wheels off the deck, races off turn 4. Back then to Ian Lewis in 3rd running. And look at the clay up and over the lights. This is PCR. This is the action track. This is Sprintcar City. Absolutely dynamic action from Steve Brazier. And have we got a race time to tell you at the completion? Brazier the leader. Rush with all stops out. Look at Rush hacking his way out of turn 2. Now Denis Farr jumps out. Denis Farr puts paid to Ian Lewis. Relegates the Victorian to 4th running. So it's Brazier, Rush and Farr. 1, 2 and 3. Down the back section they run. Arthur Cowan has the white flag at the ready. You won't see it anywhere else in Australia. Only at Parramatta. 1 lap left remaining for Steve Brazier. Rush backs the car up through turn 1. Further back then to Denis Farr. Look at Denis Farr travel. Ian Lewis the next run through. Then John Walsh. But the black and white comes out and it's slamming Steve Brazier. What a drive. Rush in for second. Third to the wire. Denis Farr in car number 3. Absolutely dynamic sprint car action.
Okay, thanks Alan. The Cowan waving the green flag. 1 going on to the infield is Jim Powick in the number 59 car. Meanwhile, the yellow light's now coming on for the Jim Powick incident on the main straightaway there. Kevin Worthington going to an immediate lead. Kevin McCullum from Victoria sharing the front row with Jim Powick.
Bob Blacklaw locked in tight from position 3 in the Central District's Smash Repairs entry. On the outside is the Victorian Kevin McCullum with a chance to crack it at PCR. As a green flag flies, McCullum takes a jump on the outside. Lewis tucks in low as they run out of turn 2 down the back section. Kev Worthington catches the flyer on the outside and races around the outside on turn 3. Worthington takes takes over second running, sits on the tail of the Victorian as Lewis is out of shape and puts both inside wheels up in the air. Bob Tunks coming through from the back in the 54 car, slots into fourth, running further back as the Newcastle flyer. Ross Bolt in position 5, gets it up on the cushion, calling on more power, but the Victorian, Kevin McCullum, sitting nice and tight in car number 60 and opening up a 5, 6, 7 maybe car lengths lead over the fast motoring Kevin Worthington. Worthington in second running as they race off four. Barry Lewis still with troubles at the moment as Bob Tunks gets that inside front wheel high in the air onto the main straightaway. Lewis tucks in behind now. Ross Barth under siege from Blackwell further back, but Blackwell having trouble settling down tonight in the 78 car. And a good drive at this stage from the U100 racer in the field. The number 14 car as he's further back in the pack, but keeping it steady now as Blackwell takes it off the circuit. That's John Manif in car number 14, settling down nicely. Meanwhile, moving into the closing stages now as Bob Tunks gets out of the pack to take over third running as Blackwell calls it quits and takes the 78 car back to the pit enclosure. Meanwhile, McCullum out of Victoria, heading for a win in the number 60 car, still well in advance of Kev Worthington, who had plenty of fire earlier on, but seems to have buttoned off at this stage in the 49 car, allowing Bob Tunks to close right up on the white flag. Only one PCR racing lap left for McCullum for the final run down the back section now. Tunks closing the gap, but I don't think he'll make it up into second placing as McCullum heads off turn 4. Out comes the black and white, and Kevin McCullum from Victoria picks up the win in advance of Kev Worthington in the 49 car. Next one through is Bob Tunks to round off the minor placings in car number 54, followed across the wire by Barry Lewis in the double 1 car. Ross Bolt was next, racing for Frank Bird, and followed in by John Manif with a good steady drive in the ex-Bob Tunks number 14 car.
He starts to quicken. The Cowan waves the green flag and Paul Knott goes to it immediately. George Tatnell quickly into stride, charges through on the inside of Paul Knott, still in second place, but I think it's only a matter of time before George Tatnell... Oh, George, well, he learned his career in stock cars, so George Tatnell certainly showing he's still not lost that technique. Yellow lights coming on for the stranded car on turn number 4. While that was going on, of course, Peter Adard slipped through quietly into the lead position and flew Bruce White and Kevin Worthington up to Cairns on a regular basis to participate in several sprint car shows during our winter here in Sydney, and Bruce White performed with distinction. Okay, Arthur Cowan waves the green flag, and it's Peter Adard, the early race leader. Trevor Shields there in second spot, and David Anderson also looking good there back in third. Now George Tatnell moving into fourth spot, looking for a one through on the inside, collects David Anderson, who lost it down in turn number 3. The Cowan waves the green flag, and racing underway once again. Ken Fowler, the race leader, Peter Adard there in the number 53 car. Now Bruce White quickly into stride, moving into second position down the back straightaway. Bruce White driving the number 96 car, holding down second spot. But meanwhile, Ken Fowler, the race leader, has a handy lead at this stage. However, it's Bruce White certainly putting on the high-speed run down the back straightaway, and now setting off after the race leader, Ken Fowler. Meanwhile, a battle for third. Peter Adard goes high. Trevor Shields taking over third position. So the top 3 running order at the present time is Ken Fowler in the number 22 car, Bruce White back in second, and tailing out in third is Trevor Shields. Peter Adard back there in fourth, and tailing out right at the back of the field is Ian Stewart driving the number 45 car. Ken Fowler still the race leader, but Bruce White ever so slowly just closing that gap. Still Ken Fowler leading. Bruce White in the number 96 Axiom Auto Quip entry, still closing that lap on Ken Fowler as they line up into turn number 3. Bruce White down low, Ken Fowler up high, coming down the main straightaway to complete yet another lap. Now Bruce White right up on the inside there of Ken Fowler. This is when he'll make his passing move. Couldn't pull it off, however, that time. Still Ken Fowler leading. The big challenge coming from Bruce White in the number 96 car. Bruce White setting himself now for a run through on the inside of turn number 2. Again, couldn't pull off that passing manoeuvre. Still Ken Fowler leading. Bruce White down low, Ken Fowler up high, coming off turn number 4. White flag out, denoting just 1 lap remaining. Ken Fowler still leading and doing a good job holding this lead with pressure from Bruce White. Still Ken Fowler leading. Bruce White coming once again, but I think Ken Fowler will take out the money. Coming off turn 4, Ken Fowler going on to take the Arthur Cowan checkered flag. Ken Fowler first, Bruce White second, and a fast flying Trevor Shields taking off 3rd position. So a good win to Ken Fowler driving the number 22 car. Officially placed second was Bruce White, and coming in 3rd was Trevor Shields in the number 17 entry.
Now we've got a race time for Ken Fowler on the 22 car, stopping the PCR racecocks at 2 minutes 1.84 seconds. 2 minutes 1.84 seconds. Okay, they'll still have their work cut out. Only 2 cars can transfer through. Okay, with both Barry Lewis and Bob Blacklaw having the upper hand, if you like, because looks like they're starting off on the front row with Lewis off pole position, Blacklaw off on position 2. Let's see if he can get it together tonight. Okay, green flag 5. Blacklaw goes to the outside, an 8-lap journey, amended to 8 laps. Barry Lewis calling the shots, however, on the first occasion down the back section. Blacklaw takes it up on the cushion now. Bob Asen races up to join them. There's the 3 main contenders, it would seem at this stage. Only 2 cars can qualify. Asen fighting his way through, and the car hill handling somewhat as he goes right up on 2 wheels. They're both the inside wheels, right up for Asen. And that looks like it ends Bobby Asen's chances. As you can see, Bob Asen really trying, putting the car bicycling its way right through turn 4, and a good save from Asen to get the car back down on all fours and without any apparent damage, it would seem. Oh, that was an unpaid political announcement. Okay, green flag flies again. This time, Barry Lewis jumps out again in the double 1 car. Blacklaw tucks in behind. Racing down the back section, there's your 2 main contenders. Those 2 cars need to run 1 and 2 in either order to move through into tonight's main event. But there's still challenges further back in the pack. That's Ivan Wilson, then the number 28 car. Ivan Wilson keeping it straight, keeping it steady, sitting down in 3rd place. But meanwhile, the big guns of Barry Lewis and Bob Blacklaw have motored well and truly away and commanding a quarter lap lead at this stage as they head down the back section over Ivan Wilson. Bob Asen back in 4th running at the moment and buttoned off somewhat is Bob Asen in position 4. Laps dwindling away in the sprint car consolation qualifier. Last chance for these drivers to qualify into tonight's Valvoline-sponsored Gary Patterson Racers Cup. Okay, Wilson goes high as Asen gets by on the inside, but as the laps dwindle away, it's apparent that it's all Barry Lewis as Arthur Cowan steps across to pick up the white flag. Down the back section now, Lewis moves up onto the first of the tail enders. Heads onto the main straight away, and the white flag comes out for Barry Lewis. Blacklaw closes the gap drastically as Lewis fights his way through the tail enders, elbows his way through and puts the double 1 car into a commanding position for the final run out at turn 4. And Barry Lewis qualifies, as does Bob Blacklaw. Blacklaw, who is sitting right on the bubble, qualified the Central District Smash Repairs entry, car number 78. So the 2 qualifiers, 1 and 2, Barry Lewis and Bob Blacklaw. Pioneer sprint car racing as we know it today in Australia, and undoubtedly one of the most respected Americans that this country has ever seen. You've only got to talk to any sprint car driver in Australia, mention the word Gary Patterson, and so many memories and so much respect is forthcoming. And certainly one man in the pack tonight who owes a great deal and had probably the greatest respect of all for Gary Patterson was one Steve Brazier in the number 58 car at the moment. And there's one man who would dearly love to take the Gary Patterson Racers Cup. Form into rows of two, all just about in readiness now. Trevor Shield on pole position, could have a start now. Ian Lewis off the second row out of Victoria. Green flag flies, 20 laps of incredible sprint car action to come your way as they get underway now for the 1986 Valvoline Gary Patterson Racers Cup at PCR, Sprintcar City, the action track. This time onto the main straightaway, one down, 19 remaining now. Alan Harris jumps out as the race leader. Ian Lewis from Victoria's in second running. George Tatnell in third. Back then to Kev Worthington, and now Garry Rush jumps out of the pack in position 4. Up on two wheels is that hard now as Ian Lewis, the Victorian, jumps out now as the race leader with Alan Harris relegated back to second. Tatnell blasts through on the inside. Tatnell in the Winfield car in second running. And it looks like a lock motor over on the back section. Peter Adhard. And the amber caution lights come out. It looks like possibly a blown motor or a lock-up of some description over on the back section for the 53 car of Peter Adhard. As the field now is brought around to move on to the tail of the early race leader, Ian Lewis from Victoria. Lightning Lance informs us 18 laps remaining, and you watch Lewis jump away out the front. Alan Harris gathers him in, Tatnell on the inside. Brazier catches the flyer on the high line. Out of turn 4 onto the main straightaway they race. Lewis takes advantage of the front row now. Tatnell bursts through on the inside of Harris. Garry Rush is back there in fourth placing. Through on the inside goes Rush. So it's Ian Lewis, George Tatnell and Garry Rush. The Winfield car is running 2 and 3, and the Victorian 18 car of Ian Lewis kicking away off turn 4. Now Steve Brazier jumps out. Brazier in position 4, Bob Tunks in position 5, and Denis Farr flies through on the inside in the number 3 car. But the race leader is still the Victorian Ian Lewis, a former speed car driver turned sprint car this season, or 2 seasons back now, as the 18 car well and truly wound up. Ken Fowler spins to the infield now as George Tatnell and Garry Rush with all stops out, chasing Ian Lewis down through turns 3 and 4. Steve Brazier calling up more power. Bob Tunks has not given up, and Tunks fights through on the inside of Brazier. And George Tatnell now looks at the inside of Ian Lewis. Garry Rush also closing the gap. Round the outside now goes Lewis, followed by Tatnell and Rush. Brazier still back in fourth with a long haul on his hands. Now the freight train moves up through turns 1 and 2. Oh, Tatnell looks at the inside. Lewis shuts the gate. Rush just waiting for the opportunity. Down on turn 3 again. Look at this. George Tatnell, just absolutely incredible. Tatnell in all sorts of strife early tonight gives Lewis the message on the inside. On the down cars now. Oh, Tatnell taps away. Rush is there also. Okay, Tatnell puts a wheel out of the ballpark. Thumpo onto Rush as they run out of turn 2. Rush now in second. Lewis is still the leader. Through the down cars they run. This is Parramatta. This is the action track. The sprint car capital of Australia. Oh, look at this action as they race out of turn 2. Lewis is still calling his shots. Rush looks on the inside now. Oh, and Garry Rush goes through. Woo! Garry Rush in car number 25. And Tatnell, the next one through. The 2 Winfield cars running 1 and 2. Lewis relegated to third, and here comes Brazier. Through goes Steve Brazier now. But Lewis fights back. Oh, this game, little Victorian. He's incredible now as he fights back against Steve Brazier. What a driver this young Victorian is. But it's New South Wales running 1, 2 and 3. 15 laps completed. 5 his absolute best. And George Tatnell and Steve Brazier fighting out the second place. Brazier goes round the outside, but Tatnell fights back. Tatnell fights back, but Brazier takes second. Arthur Cowan has the white flag at the ready. There's not another Speedway track in Australia that will give you a sprint car racing this good. Garry Rush moves through on to the final lap. Brazier in second, George Tatnell is third, and that's the way they're going to finish. And the 1986 Gary Patterson Racers Cup goes to the wire. Garry Rush first, Steve Brazier thunders across the line in second, and third to the wire, George Tatnell. Three absolute veterans, incredible stuff. The 1986 Gary Patterson Racers Cup, Garry Rush, the winner in the Winfield number 25 car.